Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rachel Klein and I will be your presenter here for the next 20 minutes. Today we're going to be talking about different attendance reports that we offer in the membership module. So there's 4 different ones we're going to talk about today. A lot of them, the different tabs and the different features that are used to build the report overlap each other. So it's kind of figuring out the best way to present it to you without taking up too much time but still being able to get right to the point. So we're going to really focus on the first report, the attendance worksheet. I'm going to go through each tab specifically, explaining the different functions for those tabs, and then we'll go through and I'll show you some examples of the different reports and what they can do for you. Okay? So the information that I'm following is from one of our workbooks. It's the M202 workbook, so Church Windows Membership 202, and it's going to be pages 27 through 42. So if you have the workbook, want to follow along, please feel free to do so. If you want to purchase our workbooks at any time, head out to churchwindows.com and go under supporting. And then within there under training materials, you'll see the training workbooks there for purchase. Also, feel free to ask questions. On your GoToWebinar toolbar, if you expand the questions section, feel free to type that in. I am the only person, the only tech that's on today. Josh isn't with me. He's out of the office today. So if you have a question, please type it in, but just know that I'm not going to actually look at them or do the Q&A until after I'm done presenting the materials for today. I am recording this. I'll get it cleaned up. We'll have it up on the website by the end of the day for you to rewatch or share with anyone else you think might find this information beneficial. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. I'm going to open up membership. There we go, popped on my other screen. All right, so in here, up at the top under reports and export, you have a specific section for attendance. So this is what we're going to talk about or focus on today. You have the summary by person report, which is going to give you more detailed information on a person-by-person basis. You have the summary by event group classes report. This is going to give you an overall attendance information, reporting information, even an average for a specific event, a group, or a class. You have a worksheet. These are handy to give out as a roster. So if you do Sunday school classes, you want to track who's attending or coming to different events. This will give you space to actually do little check boxes to show who's attended. And then there's the attendance report, which I think is the best report, which is going to be dates across the top, people's names down the left side, and it's going to show indicators, little check marks, if they were there or not. So that's a really good report to see the different trends that you have, or who's coming and who's not, or maybe what Sundays were a little light for the year. And you can do that at a quick glance with just the check marks. All right. So let's start with summary by person. A lot of options on these reports. Again, I'm going to do my best to go over each one following the outline in the book, but if you have a specific question, feel free to type that in and we'll go over it at the end. So at the bottom of page 27, it starts to talk about the different options that you have here on the first tab. First thing's going to be your date range. Pretty straightforward. This is going to be what time frame you're wanting to view for this specific report. All right. You also have minus year plus year right here, so you don't have to go up here into settings or special functions and switch the year back before you can run a report in a different time frame. Just simply use the minus year plus year buttons. Okay. I'm going to run the report first so you can see it before I kind of go through and explain everything. So I'm just going to check one of my events, so one of my worship services here, and I'm going to hit print. And it is going to show us pretty basic, okay, contemporary worship and the last date they attended. Then down here on the left side, you're going to see all the different people that were either there or not during that time frame, okay? Now let's dig a little deeper. We can get a better report, more information. So if I close this, I'm going to jump over here to the columns tab. Columns tab, if you've worked in our software at all, you've probably seen this before. Over on the right, these are going to be your visible columns. These are the fields that you are going to see on the report itself. Whatever you have on the left, this is what's available. So you can add, by moving things over to the right, a lot more information to your report. You can double click the field to move it back and forth, or you can highlight and hit the right or the left facing arrow, and that will also move fields back and forth. Okay. Now, back to the Options tab. You have a summary option and a detail option. It's going to obviously change the appearance of the report based on how much information you want to see. Also, you have down here at the bottom, you can specify if you want to see people that attended at least once. So if they haven't been here, you don't want them on the report, you could choose that. That would exclude them. You also have the option to adjust the times they've come. So if you want people who've come at least 7 times in a particular date range, 7 to 50, you can use the times attended option. Or if you want to see who didn't come, you could use the did not attend any selected, which would be whatever you checked over here. Okay. On the right, you have your events listed first and then all of your groups and classes then down here. You can use these filtering options up at the top if you want to focus in on a specific group or class, or you just want to look at events, or you want to see inactive groups or classes. You have the options here to really filter down this list. So some churches I talk to, they have so many different groups and classes and so many different things available for their parishioners that it might be nice to filter this out a little bit. Okay. Now, I'm going to switch over here to summary only, and I'm going to hit print. Summary is going to give you a little bit of different information. So the first thing we looked at was summary, was detailed. Now we're looking at summary. As you can see, the report's looking a little different. We're getting a last date attended and we're getting a communion, okay? Again, you can jump back to the columns tab and you can pick and choose what you see. If you don't track communion, let's get rid of that. But let's say we want to see their times attended and their last date attended. So if we add those columns, I'm going to hit print. And now I'm going to get a little bit more information on my report. So within the date range that I selected, it's going to give me their name, how often they came, the last date they were here, and the last event specifically that they attended. Okay. If you pick up anything from this webinar, it would be to come in here and play around with the different reports. Okay, you cannot break anything in here. You're not going to lose data. Don't be afraid to come in here and just click around and keep looking at the previews. Try different criteria. It's going to be a really great way for you to figure out how you can pull out the data that you want. Okay. People tab. You've probably seen this before. This is going to allow you to put in different criteria for who you want to see. Say you just want to see everybody with a status code of active. You can add that criteria here. If you want to get rid of visitors, simply uncheck that visitor box. And remember, these tabs all build upon each other. So if you put something here, it's going to then reiterate in the report itself. Okay. Now back here, the columns tab, again, move things back and forth so you can find the information that you want. If you decide you want to change the header, the column header of the report itself, say you don't want it to say name last comma first, you can click right in here and remove any text or rename any of these column headers. So when you actually print the report, it's just going to say name instead of last comma first. Again, you can rename these things, really customize it and make it the way that you need. If you need to adjust the width of the column itself, make it larger or smaller, here are your little arrow options here to do that. All right. When you are set on summary, you can have a group and sort tab available for you. One of the really cool things, in my opinion, about this report is that right now it's sorting alphabetically. You can change it to sort by last attended date and then group by field. And one of the really cool things it'll do when you build it this way is it's going to take last date attended as your grouping and then list everybody that attended on that specific day. All right, so that's another fun way to go in and customize the report itself. All right. Again, come in here, play around. Fonts and lines, this allows you to change your font, change your sizes, do whatever you need to do to help make this report as readable and as helpful as possible for you, okay? All right, next report I want to talk about. This is going to be summary by event group class. Let me get caught up here because I did jump around a little bit on you. Let's see. All right, so I'm on page 38 if you're following along. Another super handy report. It's going to give you great information. You have the option to adjust your date range as you wish. You can use different formats. You can do it per meeting date. You can do it on a monthly basis or an annually basis. All right, so I'm going to check contemporary worship again because I know I have good data for that. I'm going to leave it on per meeting date. And then I'm going to jump to my columns tab. And you can customize these and to see the information that you want. Really look through these and see what you believe would be helpful. I'm going to go ahead and hit print just so you can, again, see what it looks like. So this is a per meeting date. So this is a worship service. So unless you have a worship service on a Wednesday or a Saturday night, typically you're going to have every Sunday listed here that you've marked attendance for. It's going to reiterate the name of the event. And then it's going to give you how many members, visitors, total. And then also when entering attendance, if you use the people counted option, that's what's going to appear in your counted column here. Your grand total is going to be at the bottom, and it's also going to figure out an average for you as well. If we close out of here and we switch over to monthly and hit print, you're going to see your month split out, and then also you can span over a couple years and do annually, and that's going to give you your annual report. Look, I only have data here for 2021, but any other years that you've tracked attendance would be listed out as well. So that's going to give you event-based information. You can also do groups and classes. If you want to come in here and see your attendance per groups and classes, let's say we want to look at our Sunday schools per meeting date, we can do that. And here's the information per date, and then it's going to give you your Sunday school class, if you had attendance that day, and since I left the event checked, it's including that as well. Pretty handy report to get you numbers quickly. All right, let's close this and let's go back up here to attendance, and we're going to go to the attendance worksheet. This attendance worksheet can be a bit of a complex report. This is going to be what you are giving out to your teachers. So if you have people that are coming in and you want to give them a roster, a customized roster for how they're going to track or check that people were there, this is going to be a great report for you. You can do it for groups and classes. You can do it for events. Now, lots of options again here. I'm going to kind of go over things quickly because we only have so much time today. As always, you have your date range field. Then you can specify your meeting frequency. All right, so this is either going to be daily, weekly, monthly, or you can do it in blanks. So let me pull up just so you can get an idea of what a report like this is going to look like. And I'm only going to do it for, I'll do it for 6 months. Hit print. Pretty simple, guys, okay? You're going to have the names of the people listed here along the left, along with any additional information you choose to include, which I'll show you that tab on how to set this up in a minute. And then the dates you specified are listed across the top. Again, you only have so much room on your paper, so you may need to switch to a landscape format or shorten your printouts on a quarterly basis. That way everything fits. But this is just a basic roster. You come in here and you're going to check who was present, who wasn't. All right, let's talk about some more options. You can then change your meeting frequency if you need to blanks. If we print this, this is really handy for giving you the names, but allowing you space to fill in the dates as you need to. So right now there's only one column, but let's say you want to do like 12 weeks worth. You would bump your number of columns up to 12, hit print, and now you have the space for 12 columns. And then you would just scratch in your dates across the top. Let me switch back to weekly here. Other things to include down here at the bottom, additional information. Say you're doing groups and classes and you want to be able to see those marks that you specifically set up for, did they bring their Bible? Did they bring a friend? Did they participate well? If I check that additional information option, that's going to include those fields for me to mark them on the worksheet itself. You also have the option to include blank lines. Say it's a group where you might need some space to write in some more people that attended that aren't actually on the roster. You can include blank lines at the end. If you want to see people's family codes, you want to see whether they're member, visitor, or something else you might have set up, you can check that. Also, if this report is really handy, especially for kids like Sunday school classes, I'll show you in a minute how to do that, but you can include parents' names or parents' contact information on the report. And if you want to include linked parents' info as well, you would check this field down at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and hit print. And now we can see that we have those additional fields here. So these are the codes we used for those additional fields. If you have questions about that, I did a webinar on this last month. Check it out on our support center. But then these are those additional blank lines as well to give us room to write in additional people. All right, let me get rid of these. Makes for a little neater report for teaching purposes. Again, over here on the right, you have your filter like we talked about before to shorten this list. You have your people tab. Put in that criteria. Say you only want people who have a certain status code or you only want visitors. You have the options here to customize or reduce who shows up. Now this is the Fields tab. So it's not called the Columns tab, it's called the Fields tab. So this is where you choose those fields that we saw along the left-hand side. So if you want to see someone's address, their primary phone, their birth date, and maybe you're doing a classes list and you want to see the role that they're assigned, you can choose to include these things here. And again, they are going to print over here on the left below the person's name. All right, so here's that role field we added, and as you can see, it's telling us what the individual's role is. And this is for first and second grade, this is for third and fourth, and so forth. Now if they're not a teacher, they don't have a role, like as we can see for Jake Knox, that's not going to print here. All right. Now I'm going to get rid of a couple things just for easy to see quickly purposes. You can also over here use this individuals column. So if you're doing a kids Sunday school report like we're doing right now, and we want to include, let's say, contact information for the parents, under here you can swap this out and you can say parents only or parents and attendees only. So if you want to include cell phone or you want to include email or you want to include names, you can right here under names, you can also grab and pull in the parents' names as well, which is really, really helpful. So this is a great tool if you want to get more information specifically for like Sunday school printing or nursery printing, things like that. If you want to see what the parents' names are, this is how you would do that. All right. And again, all of these fields over here on the left are available for you to pop over to the right and see printing on that left band. Row height and column widths, this is where you can adjust the sizing of your report itself. So for me, I think 3 characters is always a little tight for the date column width. If I want to jump that up to 8, I can. And then let's say I just want to do through the first quarter. If I print, it's going to make that space right here quite a bit larger for me. And again, on that Fields tab, we just had name and phone number, so that adjusted this over here. So really customize these. Let's talk about the sort. Again, pretty much same sorting information you've seen before. You can decide what order you want those people to appear in your report. You can do strictly alphabetical. You can do last name, family, then first name, which is families, individuals with the same last name will be grouped together. And then there's a family name, last name, first name, which is everyone in the same family will be grouped together, even if their last names are different. And the placement in the alphabet is going to depend on the last name of the primary person in the family. All right. And then you have the option to include teachers. Do you want the teachers just to pop up alphabetically with all the kids? And this would be a role that was assigned. Do you want to see them at the top or you want to see them at the bottom? And that's how you would handle your teachers within your group. Fonts and lines, again, you have the ability to customize it, changing your font size. And then I like this option down here. You can change your coloring of the report itself. Might make it a little easier for you to read. You can leave it on gray or you can change it to whatever color you like, and then it's going to change the report a bit. It's just optional. Heading. I want to talk about this for a minute because this is unique to this report. You have the option to use some of our preset headers, or you can set up your own using this little green plus sign. Let me show you exactly what I mean. If I go to default class heading, it's going to show me what information is going to print up at the top of the report. So these are some extra things you might want to total or tally for someone else that you'll be returning in the worksheet too. So if I just choose our default class heading, everybody's going to have this. I'll hit print, and it's going to put it right up here at the top of my report. All right, so it's kind of like a way to do a subtotal. And you can customize those fields. Say you don't want to see who's a visitor or you don't want to see the offering. You can come in and use this little green plus sign and then manually type in what information you would like to track at the top, and then it'll always be saved here for you. So say you always want to track the same things for Sunday school, you could call it Sunday school heading, add the specific fields you want to track, and then it'll always be here for you to pick from when you generate the report. All right. Bear with me, guys. I'm almost done. I know it's a lot of information. If you need to leave, feel free to do so. But the last report I want to talk to you about is actually my go-to attendance report. Right here at the last one, attendance report. This is that one that's going to give you the cool check marks that I think are really handy. I'm going to go ahead and just choose contemporary worship and show it to you first. But this report is going to give you the dates across the top, and then on the left-hand side, it's going to give you your people. Depending on how big you are, might be a couple pages, but it's a really, really handy report to just see quickly different trends that might be going on. So if you have someone who was consistently here first half of the year and then all of a sudden you're not seeing any checks on them, maybe that's somebody that someone needs to reach out to or check up on. It's also going to give you the percentage present out of your Sundays that you have. It's going to give you a total. This little dot, if you look down at our key, is going to tell you that is for communion. So if they've had communion, it would have a marker here as well. Super, super easy report to use. Also down here on the left, a lot of similar options that we've seen before. If you want to include those who did not attend at all, you can check that, but your report, depending on how your database is, could be really massive. If you don't track if you don't track communion, there we go, you can uncheck that. If you want to include their codes, if you want to see whether they're a member or visitor, you can do that. Here's that option again to include linked parents info. So if you choose that up here on that fields tab again, you can specify that. And then there's also some additional settings for groups or classes. If you want to show the details, individual totals or date totals, you can do that as well. Same old people tab here, nothing new, On the Fields tab, you can choose what information is going to be shown on that left side as well, just like that last report we discussed. You have the option to adjust your row and column widths. You have a Sort tab similar to the last report, and then if you want to customize the look of it, you can do that on your Fonts and Lines report. But let me show you a groups classes as well. So here is it for first and second grade. On this page, there's only 3 people. Here's how often they came to that group or class. Here's third and fourth grade. Here's all the kids that make that up. Here's their attendance for that. Pretty simple report, but I think that one is super handy. All right, everyone, that is everything I wanted to go over for you today.